Hustle. Ronnie
Ronnie.
Hustle.
Sounds familiar.
He's like Big Ronnie Hustle, I think is his account.
Yeah.
He's a guy out of New York. His book is Spider-Man #1. And he's got every version of it, every iteration of it.
I think he does have a copy of that game one.
That's why I think I know about that, is because he has spoken about that game thing before. He even has the game and stuff.
I mean, there is one on sale that I've been watching it's probably on eBay for a year. And it's still in the box. And I think it's like £400, so that's probably like $570, $560.
Man, I remember when the pound was values were different before. That's quite close. Oh, you know this is hilarious. So I'm in my DMs right now with Ronnie Hustle because I'm like, why do I know this? And we were just talking about had never seen a graded one. That's something that Ronnie Hustle had sent me.
Yeah, so if you see the thing's blanked out, isn't it?
So this is the game one.
That's the game one, yeah.
You're right. There's no barcode. So these are both with the game. Let me see what it says. It says UK edition sampler or something software edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
That cover is iconic anyway, but like this purple, whatever color background it is, it really stands out with it, doesn't it?
It's really gorgeous because that would be closest to the normal green cover, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a version of the green cover that has the purple webs, if you will, right?
Yeah.
This is bringing that purple notion just everywhere. I absolutely, I think that's very cool. So I look forward to a day in the future.
I'm glad you appreciate that.
Oh, I love that thing so much. That is so cool.
I've got another story about Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. What are we now getting into CGC conspiracy? What's happening here?
Well,
Spider-Man 1.9.
You can clearly see that I've cracked it.
You cracked the book out. Mm-hmm.
Cracked the book out. So this book is a childhood book.
Okay.
Right. I love Todd McFarlane. He's my favorite artist. And this book, it's actually my first submission to CGC.
Really? Okay.
So I sent this Spawn 1, and I sent Amazing Spider-Man 361 newsstand
copy.
Fantastic. Newsstand copy. I sent these 5 or 6 years ago, and they all I didn't know about pressing or cleaning or anything like that. I just submitted them as they were, and this came back at 9.0. Spawn 1 came back at 9.2, which I'm selling tomorrow because I've got 9.8. Mm-hmm. And Amazing Spider-Man 361 came as a 9.4, and that was a newsstand, and that wasn't pressed, so that potentially could get a grade bump if I wanted to send it off. But the reason why I sent this, I mean, it's a very common book, let's be honest, it's not expensive, right? Is because, have you ever heard of the Blue Lizard variant?
I have. I don't have one. I've heard of one. I've heard of it.
So when I heard about this Blue Lizard variant, I was like, oh, I'll go and check my copy upstairs. So I went upstairs, heard this urban legend about this book.
Right.
And I went upstairs and I was casually flicking through my book, and I was like, oh my God, the lizard is actually blue. And I was like, I've got one of these books. And I was like, this is. So I sent it off to CGC, and there's expecting it to be like a note.
Oh, that's why it's cracked out. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was disappointed. I contacted CGC and I was like, do you not recognize the Blue Lizard variant? It's not a variant that we recognize. I'm like, it's pretty.
They don't, huh?
They don't. They might do now, but 5 or 6 years ago, they didn't.
I think maybe they do now. I recently saw, I don't know. I have no idea,
Oh
but I
man,
recently
that's a
saw,
game changer. That is.
I think they
So
do.
I cracked it and then got it pressed and cleaned by the best comic book presser in the UK, and then sent it off to CBCS.
You sent it to, okay, well, let's see what it returned as from
So
CBCS.
it came back. So bear in mind, it was a 9.0.
Hmm.
It came back a 9.4.
Very nice. And it has the indication, I'd imagine. It
Yeah.
says right there, blue lizard variant. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But do you want to know something even crazier? So a few years back, I mean, after all this, um, oh, I was at a comic mart with my brother and Jason Parker Comics, who's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, shout
And
out Jason.
my brother didn't. He was like, "Oh, look what they've got here," and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." He goes, "I don't have a copy." And I was like, "What? You don't have a copy of this book?" No, no, no. They went, "Oh, can you? Why don't you check to see if it's got the blue lizard in it?" So he goes, "Can you check, please? Because I don't know what I'm looking for." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So get this book out. I says, "Do you mind if I check it? Get the book out?" And he's like, the guy's like, the seller's like, "No, no, no, no." So I get it out. I look through it, and on pages, what page is it? On the 7th and 10th page, the lizard's blue, not green. And so lo and behold, I'm going for this book from my brother, and it was like, oh my god, it's another one. I can't believe it. And so this at that time, that would have been probably about 150 to 200 pounds. That book.
Oh, that's a big price tag.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
got this for £5. £5.
Does he still have it, or did he turn it into a
No,
profit?
no, he's still got it, but he needs to get it graded, I imagine. So
I need to be more careful about looking through those then.
the
Wow.
the thing you've got to think about it is there's probably, I mean, that book is there's so many copies on the census.
Right? Yeah, but
The-
so many. It's one of the most popular books of our time.
yeah,
About that era, I think there's a copper error as well. I think there's a even more rare copper colored lizard or something of that
there,
sort.
there's a yellow lizard.
Yellow might be what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I haven't
I've
seen
never
any
seen
of
that.
them.
I've never
Wow.
seen a yellow lizard. But again, I first learned about that blue lizard on
Hmm.
mycomicshop.com. Like they
Wow,
knew
you got
about it.
wow. Okay. Huh.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
phenomenal.
need to that's very interesting to me. I'm not 100% sure the CGC notates it now, but I'd assume since the community has began to talk about it, CBCS does it. You know how CGC is; they'll follow suit. You
Yeah,
know, if something's being requested, eventually they'll get to it, like notating newsstand on the label and stuff like that,
yeah.
which they've started to do. But which really does no good for anyone because the people that hunt newsstands know when it's a newsstand, and it's not even separated on the census, so it's not like it helps us get a
There's no,
count of their
yeah,
existence.
that is very silly of them, to be honest. That is very silly of them.
Yeah, so but whatever. People like it, and I'm not opposed to it. I will
You will counter with a
Oh no, I do not have. Just speaking of errors, you're aware of this because I recently posted it, but it's my first time ever having it, and it's McFarlane. It's just unfortunately not Spidey, so we can't play into that. But that
oh
Spawn one error,
yeah.
I
I
I've
can't get over how that looks.
isn't that
it looks it looks like it's a foil cover to me.
it has that it looks like it does. It looks like you're looking at some foil cover, but it's just the printing plate was shifted so far up. You can see this hard line here
Yeah,
which clearly is a shift in a printing plate. I don't know what exactly went on. There's like varying degrees of intensity to the other copies of this book that are on the market, but this is like the most dramatic one that I've seen.
yeah,
And they always get green labels, whatever. And then you could see on the back very clearly how the printing was just hodgepodged everywhere. Like, I don't even know what's going on.
So I know a lot of collector friends of mine, like green and purple labels are like death to them.
Sure.
What would you prefer to have, a green label or a purple label?
I think there's a point in which some books for sure, green labels suck and purple labels suck. If a purple label represents color touch, well, that's why it sucks, because it represents color touch. If a green label is representing an unverified signature, to a lot of people, that's uncertainty. So a green label representing unverified signature is why it's green. If you use common sense, which I shouldn't say that, that's very mean. I didn't mean to say that. But on a book like this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color the label is, because the label doesn't indicate something wrong with the book. CGC just decided that for some reason with this manufacturing error, they're just going to keep a green label and write it, because this is an interesting thing that they do. Now, I don't have an actual example of me doing this, but I have other people that have told me this. If you were to have an error copy of this book like this one, and you send it to CGC, and let's say you wanted a blue label, they will actually grade down because of the print error, and you could have a blue label. But why would anyone want that? Give me the green label indicating the error, and give me the grade of the actual quality of the book. And so this is my first time ever having it. It's absolutely amazing. This book is for sale, but I'm asking, quite a bit of money for it.
Yeah, so of course, yeah.
I do have a very strong offer on it, but it's not as strong as where I'm still going to spend a few weeks trying to get to, right? Yeah. I could always double back. Well, you don't always know if you can double back to an offer. An individual that puts a big offer out there could buy something else big in the next couple of days, and that offer could be gone. But I'm going to risk it, because I'm trying to get several thousands more than what I can sell it to that individual for. But the book does have sales history and stuff, but that's a really cool error. But I mean, as an example of errors, the Malibu Sun 13, right? That error book, which I recently just sold a 9.6, CGC gives it a blue label. And it identifies that it's the error copy, manufacturing print error.
What's the difference between that and that?
There isn't. Exactly. What is the difference? The difference is that's a book that I honestly, I couldn't even tell you. That's just more inconsistency from CGC. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you give one print error a blue, one print error a green? They're both the same thing. Manufacturing print errors, not damage, not poor handling, nothing of that sort.
I can give you an example. I've got a Fantastic Four issue number 48, which is the first Silver Surfer.
Okay, yeah.
And that book has been signed and remarked by Joe Sinnott. And it's a blue label, but it's not obviously been verified or witnessed by CGC. It's a 1.8 because obviously he's drawn on it.
Oh, so
it is
blue label downgraded because of the writing.
Yeah. So perhaps I mean, I bought it like that, so I don't know what the history of it is in terms of that, but I'm guessing if it was a green label to say that there was a sketch and writing on the cover, it'd be a higher grade. But for that blue label, it's paid the ultimate price.
That's what they would do. Yeah. If it was a green label, they would, because that's basically them saying, all right, we're compromising this book by making it green, so we'll compensate the grade accordingly, right? So on and so forth. But yeah, people do talk about purple as the purple label of death. That's like the nickname they've given it. And I think
it all depends, doesn't it, really, how much color touch it's had to it? Because if it's slight, you kind of, depending on what the book is, you probably be like, oh, okay, that could probably be removed.
And I've thought about this, but I haven't dabbled so much. The only color touch books that I've had were by ridiculous accident, like me submitting an acclaim book and the Baxter Carnage and coming back. I didn't even know to look for it because I didn't imagine anyone was color touching this book, right? But then I learned, and it was a great lesson to learn. But then I have examples like this. A friend of mine, Minor Keys Comics, Steven on Instagram. I might get the grades wrong a little bit, but the story is still going to have the same effect. He had a 4.0 Amazing Fantasy 15 with color touch. Now, what you would want to do if you enjoy this sort of thing and have, you know, what it takes to because it's a stressful process, you want to remove the color touch and have the grade remain as close to that 4.0 as possible, but a blue label. For a book like that, even if the grade goes down, but the label turns blue, it's more valuable than the higher grade purple label.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
So he had the color touch removed, had the book pressed again, whatever he did, resubmits the book, gets a blue label, gets a grade bump.
Oh,
it's now a 5.0
wow.
AF15 blue. That is like, I'm pulling these numbers out of my butt, but I think that's like a $40,000 grade bump.
Yeah, yeah.
Going from a purple 4 to a
what
blue
a grade
5.
bump. That is, but you just don't know what's going to happen, do you? Because it could have gone the other way,
and it still would have been considered a success.
Yeah.
Even if the grade went down, but the label turned blue, it still would have been considered a success. This is a success magnitudes higher.
Yeah. That's incredible.
It's absolutely so yeah, but I know what you're saying about the degree of color touch, right? Because like on the grade it says C1 or C2, and that indicates whether it's minor or professional or whatever it does. I just haven't gotten into the older books enough to start experiencing that yet. Like this is my first, you know, I love this book and this is the first time I've ever owned this book.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm getting into Silver Age. I'm getting into.
Hold on. As soon as you.
Hey, we're twins on the grade.
Yeah.
Absolutely dope. Absolutely dope.
To be honest, I wouldn't have got it out had it not been the same grade.
That's so cool. Your white pages, I think, though.
Did you off white to white?
Okay, we're twins across the board then.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yours
is my first one ever. Yeah, but that's just by chance. It happened to be on there when I saw it in the live sale. I've never owned this book. I've contemplated upgrading this copy right now already, and so then I put it up for sale. But then 5 minutes later, I said I do not want to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
How
I
much
removed
did you get
the
it for,
post.
if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind. This was very recent. This was like a week ago, like 2 weeks ago, or 3. I don't freaking know, but recent. And the seller was asking $675.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a lowballer.
Yeah,
and it was on a live stream, you know. So I go $550, I'll take it. And then the seller countered back at $600. And I just didn't, and the eBay sales were $650. There's one recently sold for a little less, who knows why, but they were all $650, so it was still a good deal. But I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna be a little strict on here. I said, look, $575, I'll take it. If not, it's open to the room. And then somebody else commented, and the seller said, I'm gonna stay firm at 600. And then somebody else commented and said, I'll chip in the $25. And so it closed the deal. Yeah. So I ended up getting it for $575, and somebody very kind paid the additional $25. I wish at the moment I could recall his name, but at the very moment,
cheers to him.
I forgot the account. Yeah, cheers to him. Cheers to him. I forgot the account that chipped in. And so basically I paid $600, but my actual cost was $575 plus shipping. But even with shipping, it came to $592. So I essentially paid $600 all in for my first copy of this book. Another book that I'm only recently getting into, I have my first 30-cent variant.
Oh, is that Canadian, is it? Or is that just 30
No,
cents?
so it's what they did was they tested markets in the United States, very few markets, with this higher price point to see how it would do. And so they're very rare.
Oh
And
wow!
so this one's Amazing Spider-Man 158. It's from 1976, and it's the 30-cent variant in a 9.4. Apparently, 9.4 is quite a high grade for these 30-cent variants from this era.
Wow!
So I'm just dabbling into the older stuff a little.
I did see though that you did buy another key book, a Bronze Age book.
Hulk 181.
Yep.
First Wolverine. So I sold it. Yes,
What?
but let me tell you. That book was actually, I wasn't in the market for it. And what happened is I had a Malibu Sun 13 9.8.
Yeah.
And a gentleman, I was on a live stream. We were doing a live stream sale, and I advertised the Malibu Sun 13 9.8 for like an affordable price. I don't remember. I think I was at like, I don't remember. I think I asked 3,700 shipped, and at that time the most recent sale was 4,100. I'm not sure. And then no one bought it for the cash, but someone said, "Hey, I'll trade you a 181." And I didn't take that conversation so seriously then, because it's hard to handle a trade through a live stream when I need to
Yeah.
see the book, really investigate. But the next day, I remembered that. So I DM'd him and I said, "Hey, were you serious about the 181 trade?" And he goes, "Yep." I said, "Well, show me your book." And he sent me a picture. I believe it's on my page now. I don't remember. I think it was a 5.5 white pages. And he sent it, and it was beautiful. I sent him his Malibu Sun 13. But of course, my objective with that Malibu Sun 13 was to sell it for money. So when the 181 came through, the 181 was just my means to get to the money. So I advertised that book for sale, and it sold within a day or two, I believe it was. I did something fun with that one. There's the post on my page that shows the book, but then there was a temporary post that I put up immediately after, and it was advertising a $50 finder's fee if anyone on Instagram was introduce me to the individual that ended up buying it. And so that individual got his $50. I was happy to send him that, and the other individual got the Hulk 181.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
That was fun. All right, let's see your 181. I know you pulled it out. Is yours quite a high grade? Have I seen your book?
No, it's not high. It's a 4.0.
Very nice. How's this 4.0 look? So that was my first time ever having a 181, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, the experience of having it. It's actually quite amazing. So,
I mean, that's just a Batman book.
Dude, that is a sick book. I've only owned one copy ever. It was raw. I sold it raw, and now it's graded. I sold it to my presser.
Oh, how much? What grade did it get?
Not an 8.0. Like, that's a very high grade in that book, from my understanding. Like, that's sick.
This book, right? $40. MyComicShop.com, 2011 or 12.
Brilliant pickup.
And it was $40 because it was graded as a 4.0, like raw.
Wow.
So then I got it pressed and cleaned, and it's come back as an 8.
That's amazing. And I love that book so much.
People have told me, like, this looks better than their 9.0s.
Wow.
Or 8.5s. And but I'm a 90s kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you probably don't like him, but I love him. It's Scarlet Spider.
I don't not like Scarlet Spider. Scarlet Spider's super cool.
Yeah.
He's super dope.
He's very high up.
His depiction in the latest Miles Morales movie is incredible.
Oh, mate. I've actually, funny enough, a few days ago, I actually messaged on Instagram Stephen Butler, who drew the first Web of Spider-Man 118, which is his first appearance.
Okay, yeah.
I've emailed him asking if he'll do a commission, like a remark on my Web of Spider-Man 118, because I've seen copies where he's drawn another behind him.
Okay. Wait, I want to see something really quickly.
Well,
Stephen Butler's the artist of that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's his name? Stephen Butler?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, no, Scarlet Spider is sick, and he's just sick. I don't know what else to say. When I saw him in the Across the Spider-Verse movie, is that what it was called? Across the Spider-Verse?
Yeah. But
He
like,
was just so damn cool.
I mean, I don't like the new versions of him, like in the comic. I don't know if you've seen the comics; they're completely changed.
What would I look at if you would give me?
What would you? What? Sorry.
Like, what would I look at to see the most recent iteration of him now?
So now he's become a bad guy now. He's become that Phage, is it? Not Phage. Chasm?
He's not even him anymore?
No. The Scarlet Spider persona is not. So what you and I both know that Scarlet Spider is Ben Reilly, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like this. I've seen this character. I don't know anything about this character.
No, it's not my Scarlet Spider.
No, it's nobody's Scarlet Spider. I don't even like the way this character looks. What is going on here?
I think he's a bad guy now, I think.
That's very interesting. No, I miss the blue cutoff sleeve hoodie.
Yeah, that's what sells it for me. So
I totally understand, because yes, there's the whole thing about like I'm more of a Marvel guy than anything else, but at the same time, it's not about Marvel or Image, it's about Todd.
Yeah.
And Todd gave me the Spider-Man that I fell in love with. Todd gave me that cape on Spawn that I fell in love with. Todd is the reason Batman 423, that cover, is one of the best things. These two pieces of art, these are drawn by Naj. This is 423.
Oh wow! So look,
this is a black ink version of a 423, and this is it's terrible just because of the glare and stuff. I'll send you pictures. And then most recently, I got this guy.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, that cover is iconic. I've got that in I sent that off to CGC. I got that in a 9.0.
No, I love that book. Did you see the copy that I had? I've sold it, but do you know the one that I had?
No.
All right, well, let me reminisce with you here, even though I no longer own those things. People really, they tell me, they're like, Manu, you sell stuff that you just not supposed to freaking sell, bro. And it's just like, I love selling, all right? For the right price, I sell.
Yeah.
Batman 423. It's a rare book. It's a pricey book. It's a dope book in any high grade, But obviously, I have a particular pursuit, so I go until I get that thing done. My first 9.8 of that book was the first print direct edition. Incredible book. I sold that a few years back, $2,500, $2,600, whatever it was when it was that price.
Yeah.
I'll leave numbers out of this last one because the person that purchased the book from me has not publicly shown the book. I don't think he's interested in anyone knowing that he has it.
Oh, okay.
And privately, someone asked me recently if I would sell it, and I had to tell them, I said, I don't have that anymore. And they said, would the person that owns it like to sell it? I said, this is not the sort of guy that sells his books, but I'll ask. And then I asked, and he said, I'm not selling that book. You know that, Manu. I was like, yeah, sorry. I just asked. But anyway, back to the point. 9.8 Newsstand with the moon corrected by Todd McFarlane and signed by Todd.
No.
So Batman 423 9.8 Newsstand with both of the color missing portions of the moon colored in by Todd and Todd's signature on the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you let that go?
Yeah. It's gone now. And that thing, I'm so proud that it's still on my page, though. I'm so proud the post of that book exists, but not one that I think I can do. And it was not easy to get it, and it belonged to a friend of mine, and he just did not want to part with it. And it took a lot of convincing, and then I ended up selling it too. So
where do you sit with Todd's signature? Which one do you prefer?
I prefer a full Todd, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. I
Same.
prefer the TODD over the T dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But, well, I just said there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and I follow up with the but, right? But um, there are certain books that if I don't have the ability to get the full Todd, it's not that I shun them if it says T dot.
Yeah.
I have T dots in my collection that I absolutely love. But it's always like when you're submitting to a signing, which in my career as a comic book collector, or sorry, graded comic book person in recent years, I've only submitted to 2 signings ever.
Yeah.
One was this Sienkiewicz signing, and one was this McFarlane signing. And I had some good success with this McFarlane signing, and some of the books I only sent 3 books. I think one of the 3 he gave me the full Todd on, but I requested full Todd on all of them. But he gave me the full Todd on one of them, and it was a really amazing book. That book has been sold. And the other ones, both of the other ones have been sold as well, but they came with T dots. But they were still incredible.
Yeah.
But when you put the same book side by side and one has a full Todd on it, it's hard not to, know, I'll show you a full Todd example of a book that is really important to me. And I'd love to get your take. Oh my gosh, I'd love to see what you think about it as well.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah, I think you know this book for sure. Maybe. Yes, of course you do. The Mini 300.
Yep.
Right?
Your version's better because it's got that at the back.
That
do you want to see what's on the back of
your if you have the other one, you have like an advertisement for a Men in Black movie or something, correct? Yeah. That back, no one can explain why, is on 99% of the copies. And then randomly there are very few with this.
That is a gorgeous cover anyway. Web of Spider-Man 1.
One of my favorite covers of all time. If Charles Vest does a signing, I'm really contemplating get him here, and we already got the full Todd here.
Wow.
Right? This is the only copy of this book. Oh, actually, I take that back. I do know of another individual that has I don't remember if it's full Todd, but I know another individual that has this version in a 9.8 signed by Todd. And guess where that book came from? He bought it raw from me. So I absolutely love that, right? Like that's the reputation I wanted to. Oh, I got to show you one more thing.
But
this book.
It's safe to say though, Manu, is that Todd McFarlane is probably both of our favorite.
Yes, 100%. There he is right here. There he is right here. Oh, there he is right there. And there's a little Spawn figure. Yes, Todd is the guy. No question. Let me show you this other thing. You definitely know what this is. I've shown it a billion times, but I've never had the pleasure of hanging out with you on a screen and geeking out over things.
And a shout out to Dave from West Coast Avengers, because he recently had Todd on his channel, which was amazing.
He had Todd on his channel. Dave is the biggest Todd McFarlane fan, right? It's the glue that brings us all together.
Yeah.
And he interviewed Todd, and it's there. And it's not going to be the last time that we see Todd with Dave, because I know he's going to see it through and make a bunch of other things happen. And he has a slogan that he created a long time ago, and his community, our community runs with "See Todd, buy Todd."
Yeah.
And now he's got a clip of Todd McFarlane holding the sticker. Well, Todd doesn't have the sticker because they were on the screen together, but Dave is holding the sticker, and that's Todd incredible. Says, "See Todd, buy Todd." And so Wizard 1.
Yeah.
Full Todd.
And Stan
Lee.
What?
Can I tell you the story about this book?
Hold on a second. That's not a Wizard file copy as well, is it?
No, but but you said that with a level of enthusiasm that implies that you are a fan of the file copies, and I respect and support that. But I have an argument that goes the other direction with the file.
To be honest, I didn't realize. I see them everywhere now.
There's my point.
What is like? I thought it
That's
was like a rare. How many?
yeah.
How many they kept? They kept.
I know I'm very how many let me give me
Oh,
a second. Give me a second. I have to decide how deep into this conversation I want to get right now, burden you with it. Or is there a
well,
simple
you
way
could
for me to
blow my
put this?
mind here.
Say again?
You could blow my mind. You're going to tell me something. Obviously, that insider. Hold on a second.
I
Wait.
mean, yeah.
You don't do this on the clip, but I'm pretty sure I saw you say on I can't remember whatever show it was or whatever channel. You said you could tell by looking at the front of a comic, obviously a newsstand copy, whether it was a Mark Jewellers or not, without
Yeah, I
looking
can. I
at
can.
the sides.
Yes, but one very important thing to note is it's book specific.
Oh, book
I
specific, not on
Yeah,
every. Okay,
not
right.
on every book. ASM 316, I can tell you without looking for what other people are looking for. ASM 252, I can tell you. Those are the books that I focus on, that I've been studying for years. I buy them all the time, sell them all the
Yeah,
time. So I have figured out a couple of things that most people haven't. I'm not talking about looking at the top or the side
yeah,
to
yeah,
see the insert. I mean, I do not need to see any part of the interior pages, but as long as there's a particular identifier, if the picture shows that to me, I may need a different angle, if
yeah.
the picture's crap. Um, but yes, no one has been able to. There was one time, I'm going to leave the gentleman's name out, successful person in our community. He overheard me say that as well. And we ended up on the phone, and he said, bro, I need you to tell me. And I said, well, all due respect, I'm not telling you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's flattering and it'd be cool to share it, but it's an advantage that I am not giving up. I'm sorry. And he goes, man, how do I know that you could even do what you say you can do? I said, well, now we're on the phone. Maybe one day we'll be in person. You lay a couple of books out on a table and
And I'll
test
tell
me.
you which one it is.
Yeah, test me, or send me pictures, whatever you want to do. But I gave him the example of in person. Test me, and and he goes, any books? I said, no, not any books. I haven't studied every book. It's
Yeah,
book
yeah.
specific, So like, I know what I know about the books that I know it about. And that's one of the ways that I was able to, because people were thinking with the whole scandal that happened, right? The first book that I discovered the scam with was a Mark Jewellers
252.
252.
Yeah,
And the scam isn't that the 9.8 is not a Mark Jewellers. The scam is that the 9.8 is not a 9.8, right? The one that
yeah,
ultimately sold for $15,700, which is a 9.8 Mark Jewellers, there's like a 9.4 Mark Jewellers in there. And that cert number was originally associated with just a newsstand copy. That newsstand copy was taken out, resubmitted, and it's a 9.8 newsstand resold somewhere else. And
yeah.
associated with that cert number now is a Mark Jewellers, because he put a lower grade Mark Jewellers into the encapsulation, resubmitted it for a reholder, and said, hey, while you're reholdering this book, by the way, you forgot to make note that it's a Mark Jewellers. At CGC, they could just look at it and be like, oh, you're right, it's a Mark
Oh,
Jewellers,
yeah,
but
yeah,
never
yeah.
regraded the book. It was actually a Mark Jewellers, and I'm able to verify that because of what I saw on the book itself. Regardless, where the hell was I going with all that? I don't even remember. So the Mark Jewellers thing, being able to identify them,
Yeah.
that's how I was able to let people know that. Oh yeah, because people thought, oh, is that
How
252
can you
even a
tell?
Mark Jewellers? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, but I never have told anybody how I can tell. There's secrets that I want to keep,
Yeah.
just quite frankly. There's another secret I have that this is hilarious, and I'm not going to tell anybody, but I keep like teasing
Can I
people.
can I just,
Yeah.
before you get rid of the Wizard one,
Mm-hmm.
is you, like, I was seeing that book on
Oh, I still
your,
want to tell you. I want to tell you the story about this one. Yeah, we're not done with this yet, but carry on.
as I say, I was seeing that book obviously on your page a lot,
Yeah.
and like I was like, oh, and in this country, again, never saw one in the wild, because
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I think 2021, maybe, we were recommended to go to this vinyl shop because a guy had comics there. And so I took a drive on up. It's about an hour's drive from me. I took a drive. I've never in my life, honestly, the books in this place, every visit I was going, I was spending hundreds of dollars. This was obviously, I came across that and it didn't have a price.
Okay,
didn't have a price on it. So I said to the gentleman, like the owner, I said, "Oh, it hasn't got a sticker on this one," because it was just literally, it wasn't bagged and board. There's no bag and board on it. And he went, "You can have that for free for 3." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I'm not. I just went, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "So this was my favorite purchase from that shop."
I love that. I love that.
But I mean, it's not mint, so it's not. But I will. I'm going to buy a graded copy of this.
All right. Well, let's talk about this a little. Okay, let's go. Can we please? Can we go to the equal screen? And I'm going to tell you a story, please. So really quickly about the file copy first. Then I'm going to get into this. But I want to about the file copy. So you asked, like, why there's so many, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I'm going to try to condense the story. So I got involved with the grading and selling of Wizard magazines several years ago. And some of my original sales of the magazines started to spur conversation because they had never sold for that amount of money and they were recorded sales, right? And so people are like, what the heck? 9.9 Newsstand, $1,100? What the heck's going on here? People were scratching their heads. And I'm like, you keep scratching your heads and I'm going to keep selling them, all right? Like, you know, it is what it is. And once it got really fun, if you will, when an SDCC copy, 9.8, because there's 3 versions, SDCC, Newsstand, and Direct.
Yeah.
Once an SDCC 9.8, it was the 3rd on the census. There were no signed ones, and there were only 3 9.8 blue labels of an SDCC, because that census is separate. But the census, which is Direct Edition and Newsstand, those are just one. You don't know how many newsstands there are, but the SDCC is separate. There were only 3 blue labels, 0 yellow labels. We're talking 9.8s. One of the blue labels came to market and it sold for $7,500. Maybe it was $7,000. I think it was $7,500. So that was an impressive sale. And I had just sold the Direct Edition 9.8 for $6,000. And that was impressive. So I want to not be I don't want to be as candid as I was last time. I want to just respect people's privacy to an extent.
Yeah.
Certain individuals caught wind of what was happening in the world of Wizards, and you could imagine they were the individuals associated with the magazine early on, right? Like, how else do you get a file copy? Now, prior to this, Garib and I, the founder of Wizard, I'd become friendly with him.
Okay.
Because I was sharing 9.8s on my Instagram, and one day he found my page, and I did not know who he was. This is actually quite funny. He was leaving comments on my 9.8 posts, and he was tagging people. Like saying, hey, look at what's happening with Wizards over here. And I didn't know who he was. And then a few weeks later on YouTube, someone made this is years ago now, someone made this video about the rise and fall of Wizard. And I enthusiastically pressed play, like, I want to watch a Wizard.
Yeah.
In the first few minutes, it mentions Garib Sheamus. And that's not a name that you forget.
No,
and I thought, why do I know this name? I never knew who the founder was. When I was a kid, I wasn't concerned with who founders were. I just liked artwork and covers.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I knew Todd McFarlane was, but I didn't know who made Wizard magazine.
Yeah.
And so I heard this name, Garib Sheamus, and I thought, that name sounds very familiar. It's entered my life recently. And then it hit me. Wait, that's the guy that's commenting on my Instagram posts. So I go back to Instagram and I see Garib Sheamus is following me and I DM him. I say, Garib, you're the founder of Wizard? And he said, yep. And that obviously started our relationship, right? Because I start sharing things with him. He starts sharing things with me. We're geeking out, right? But I felt great about that rapport. that was like really sincere, really loving, really nice. You know, we're not talking about money, we're not talking about business. I'm celebrating what something that he created means to me, and he's celebrating how cool it feels to be remembering all of this stuff and having someone to show old pictures to and all of these things because I
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
But then through the course of that relationship, that's one relationship. There are other individuals that he knows who caught wind of what was happening, and they and I were in touch for other reasons. And he goes, man, I've got a bunch of these. I've got a bunch of the SDCCs still, this other gentleman. And he goes, I'm going to send them to CGC and get them graded because I've got direct editions. I've got a few newsstands, but my newsstands aren't that many. And I've got a bunch of the SDCCs, and I'm going to do a pedigree through CGC. I said, a pedigree? He said, yeah, I want them to give me a pedigree. I'm the original owner of these books. He goes, we're going to make a special file copy pedigree. I was like, a pedigree? That's not how, like, that's not what file copies are file copies, but like, you're
Yeah.
going to get a pedigree label? He said, yeah. So they denied him the pedigree.
Yeah, of
Even
course.
though, yeah, but when you look at the cert number for one of the file copies, it says file copy underneath the category called pedigree, but they did not give him a pedigree. He does not have a pedigree
Okay.
label. It doesn't have a pedigree recognition. But in any case, they did give him the file copy, thing and put it on the label. But here's the thing historically about file copies. When you have a comic book, any comic book, certain creators of the comic book, certain people involved in the creation of it are given, their personal copies to keep with them, to
Yeah.
review for whatever. There's usually only a few. If there's thousands of a book on a census, there's usually only 4 or 5 file copies, if any at all.
Yeah.
Right? The file copies are more rare and they're cooler because of. Now,
Yeah.
we're going to go back to this SDCC example. Remember I said there were only 3 9.8s and 0 yellow labels?
Yeah.
Well, without getting the numbers exactly right, now there's about 50. And 40 of them are file copies. Majority of the 9.8s came out of that individual's box and were submitted and got the file copy designation, which is why it put a bad taste in my mouth. I prefer a non-file copy over a file copy. Now, the truth is the truth. If you crack one of those magazines out and resubmit it, it's not a file copy anymore.
No.
The only thing is you have to take the risk of getting that grade again.
Yeah.
There's always a risk, and there's a cost associated with the entire process, of course, but he has brought the prices down incredibly by bringing so many to market, because it wasn't only the SDCCs, it was also the directs, and he had a few of the newsstands, but very few of the newsstands. Fortunately, the newsstands are actually incredibly difficult to find. What's funny is the other day, someone had a 9 point something. I don't remember. I think it was a 9.6. I should remember. I bought it, but I also sold it, so I don't remember. But 9.6 file copy newsstand signed by Todd. Okay, it was on Elite for $999.
I can't remember, but I think I tagged you on an Elite.
Is that how I found it? Because you tagged me in it? Because another friend tagged me in that one too, and that's how I thought I found it, was because of that one. Maybe you did. We could always look back at the post.
I'll try and find it, but yeah, I'm sure I tagged you on.
Oh, I appreciate that, because that one came to my attention because a friend named Taylor sent it to me, and then I just bought it. And then I bought it, but even though it's a file copy and I don't necessarily support file copies, the way that I bought it was I first claimed it, and then I left another comment. And I said, even though I'm buying this book, I still do not think file copies are as valuable as not file copies, okay? But I'm buying it anyway.
Yeah.
So then I bought it. Dude, that book's in the UK now. A friend in Scotland bought it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scotland.
Isn't that the UK?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of collectors I know in Scotland.
Well, he's also got an AF-15, so maybe you do know who he is.
No, I don't know who he is, and I don't.
I'm gonna offline. I'm gonna show you who he is, right? But the reason I'm not saying it now is because I just talked about buying it, selling it, all of that. That's got to be him to say I've got this book now. He's the owner now. I can't say that, but yeah, it's in Scotland now. But that's just so funny because I bought it, and at that time when he was inquiring with me about it, I think what happened was he saw me on a YouTube stream.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I want a wizard. And I said, well, I have two 9.6 newsstands at the moment. I have a blue label and I have a file copy. And I was very upfront with him. I said, I believe the non-file copy blue label is actually more valuable than the signed file copy, even though they're both 9.6s and one has Todd's signature. I just think the sentiment of the one that actually traveled the world and survived in a 9.6 is cooler than one that just came out of a box 30 years later.
Into a filing cabinet or wherever it was kept.
Yeah. And I said, so since I think they're both, one has a signature, one doesn't, I'll just make them both the same price, right? So you could buy a blue label or a signed one, both for the same price, because I'm weighing one down because of file copy, but weighing it up because of the signature. And he said, I think the file copy designation is awesome. And I want a Todd signature, and it had the custom scroll label because it was submitted at the signing.
Yeah.
And so he bought that one instead of the blue label. And it just makes me happy, because it makes me happy when I'm able to tell somebody what I think about it, and it's up to them to decide.
Yeah.
And so that one's in Scotland now. It's in his collection, and it's a great looking book. It just happens to say file copy on the label. And the reason that I bought it, it's funny because friends asked me too. They were like, well, if you hate file copies, why'd you buy it? I said, it commemorates my couple of years dealing with Wizard. Like, it's only right that I have at least one file copy. I've been so involved in this entire thing from the beginning of its, trend upwards. Might as well own a pretty cool file copy.
You definitely, mate, you increased the how popular that book became.
We talk about our community. We talk about how it influences each other, right? Like, something so obviously cool is going to start conversation once a couple of people start to passionately talk about it, because everyone is going to remember. People get really caught up in the AF-15s and the giant size X-Men's, like all of the things that everyone knows is amazing. And they kind of forget sort of the outside amazing things, but then once they get brought into the conversation, forget about it. If it's really cool, it's going to explode no matter what. Once you start waking up that memory again, it's going to happen. It just happened to wake up for me maybe a year before it woke up for other people.
In
the way that I was thinking about it. People thought it was cool, and they'd find one for $10-15, they'd bring it home. But I thought, man, a 9.8's got to be real special in that, because that's a price guide. Those things did not survive. They were rolled up in your back pocket at a convention. Every single Wizard that I have from my childhood, which I still have, they're torn up. They're completely obliterated, because that's what you were supposed to do with them. We did not collect them. We enjoyed extracting all of the value out of them by reading them and tracing over them and everything. So that's the whole thing about file copies. Still valuable, still amazing. But him grading so many has brought the market down. But it's an interesting buying opportunity. But one thing that the grading services, GPA is the only one that I can speak to, because that's the one that I know about for sure in this regard. GPA separates file copy sales from non. So you can actually see that difference. You can see a newsstand 9.8 has sold for $18,300, but a newsstand 9.8 file copy sold for $5,700. So at least that difference exists, though, so we can actually call it out. And since the prices got so hammered, I've actually since then picked up a few more file copies on eBay that were being auctioned off by Probstein for dirt cheap.
Oh, wow.
And I'm talking 9.2s and 9.4s, just for dirt cheap. I was like, it might not be the season to sell Wizards right now, but it's certainly the season to put them away.
Well, I mean, if you're selling a copy,
I'll make sure we get. Wait, which? So you have a direct.
I've got a direct, but
we'll get your Wizard situation sorted out.
I want a graded copy.
No, we'll get you sorted out for sure. Okay, I'll tell you about this one now.
Go on.
So again, this is early days of Wizard grading. This particular one was graded in 2017. First signed by Stan in 2015, and then signed by Todd in 2017.
Wow.
This is one of the first Wizards ever graded. Now, when I acquired this, I bought this book. It popped up on eBay. I'm going to tell you a really fun story. There's only one individual that I know that's as passionate about Wizards as I am, and he's one heck of a collector. For the sake of this story, we're going to leave his name out, but he knows exactly who he is, and he's heard this story. He's a part of this story. He's amazing. Okay. One night on eBay, this book pops up, $2,000. Okay. Sorry, 2,500.
Okay.
2,500. It pops up. But the way that I was feeling about Wizards and the way that I was selling the newsstands and stuff, I knew that that is a no-brainer pickup. Excuse me one second.
Huh?
Excuse me. There were only 4 yellow label 9.8s on the census of the direct edition census, which is direct and newsstand combined. You don't know which is which, right?
Yeah.
But there were only 4 yellow label 9.8s at the time of me acquiring this book. This book hits eBay, $2,500. That value was obsolete the moment I purchased the book because of the offers that I got after posting the book. In any case, I am the sort of person that always makes offers. I rarely buy at the asking price, which was almost a mistake that cost me this book.
Oh, yeah.
I submitted an offer of $1,500, I believe it was, which is really stupid. Like, I knew this was well worth the $2,500. I knew, like, this is my grail. Like, oh, I gotta buy it. I can't believe this thing even exists, you know?
Yeah.
And so I made an offer of $1,500. Fortunately for me, the sort of individual this was who's selling on eBay was very transparent. But at first, I didn't know if he was full of nonsense or not, because people say the kinds of things that I'm about to say. He said to me, he sent me a message. He goes, "Thank you for your offer, but someone else just made me the same offer." And, oh no, sorry, I'm getting this wrong a little. Here's how stupid I am. Here's how stupid I am. I sent him an offer for $1,000 on his $2,500 listing. $1,000. Because his response was, "I appreciate the offer, but someone has offered me $1,400. That was his response.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, you're like, how do I know you're telling me the truth?
Yeah.
You know, how do I even know you're telling me the truth? Whatever. He goes, "I'm going to counter back to both of you guys right now. My counter is going to be $2,000. Whichever one of you buys it, buys it." Okay. He sends the 2,000 counter. For some reason, I'm still stupid. I'm writing up a counter to his counter for $1,750. And as I'm writing it, I thought to myself, Manu, do not be an idiot.
Yeah.
Pay the $2, just buy it immediately. And I had that moment of sense, and I bought it, $2,000. Paid immediately. The moment I paid, I got a text message. I got a WhatsApp message, because the collector I'm talking about is a Canadian friend. The WhatsApp message was nothing but a picture of this, the eBay listing saying sold or ended or something. That's all it was. And I said, "Brother, I just bought that." He said, "Oh my gosh, you're the other guy?" I said, "You're the other guy?"
Oh.
He was the guy that made the $1,400 offer. The seller was not lying. He and I, the only 2 wizard nuts in the world at this point in time, were the guys that were up at night seeing this auction. And the moment the book sold, my friend knew it must have been me, because he sent me. He didn't ask me. He was like, "Let me just send this to Manu and see what the heck." And I had what he must have suspected. And I said, "Brother, I just bought that." So while he and I are laughing about this, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm very happy that I have this, but he and I have this sort of relationship where it's like, man, if it ain't going to be me, I hope it's you.
I hope it's you, yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
What a story.
But that's not the end of the story, my friend.
Oh, wow.
Now we're on chapter 2. This is a 3-chapter story. So then I get a phone call. Do I get a phone call from the seller? I believe I get a phone call, because he had my phone number as my information. Like, he got the buyer's information. My phone number was a part of that. I believe I got a phone call. And he says, "Hey, man, did you pay?" And I was like, "Yes, the book is mine now. I have paid. It says paid." He said, "Well, I don't have the money." I said, dude, you sell on eBay. You know how eBay works. You're not going to have the money. You have to first ship the book. If you're in good standing with eBay, they might pay you out once you post the tracking. But generally speaking, you're not going to get paid out until the book is marked as delivered, until the tracking is received on my end, or, you know, the tracking shows delivered, generally speaking. But if you're in good standing, you might get paid out sooner, but you're not going to get paid out tonight.
Yeah.
And I said, brother, you know that. Oddly enough, after looking through his sold listings, I had bought a raw SDCC Wizard 1 signed by Todd from him many, many months prior. Okay. And I said, dude, I've even done business with you before. You clearly know how eBay works. You're not going to get paid right now. And he goes, man, anyway, I've told the story before. I guess he needed the money for something, right? Really urgently. And I got that vibe from him. He said, man, hey, how about we cancel this order?
Oh,
go ahead.
I can see where this is going. Go on.
Right. He goes, how about we cancel this order and we just do a PayPal thing? And I said, dude, listen, whatever you do, do not cancel this order. I said, whatever you do, do not cancel this order.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, this book is mine. Find anything in your collection. I don't give a shit what it is. If you need $1,000, just find anything and I will buy it from you. I will send you $1,000 PayPal right now. Just send me any fucking thing that you have. If you need that money, find something to sell me, sell it to me. I'll deal with selling whatever you sell me later, but do not cancel this order. He says, I got to think about this. He hangs up the phone.
Oh my God.
I get a message immediately after that. First of all, I get on the phone with my friend in Canada because I'm panicking now. I'm like, this guy wants to cancel the order. I don't know what's happening. And then I get a notification. Your order has been canceled and your money has been refunded. I call him back frantically. He doesn't answer. I'm on the phone with my friend. I don't know what to do. Then I get a call back from the gentleman, the seller again. And he goes, I'm so sorry. You were right. You did pay. He said, I hit the cancellation button because I didn't know what was going on. Something felt funny on my end. But now I see that you did pay. You've been refunded. I apologize, man. I shouldn't have made my problems your problems. I said, what do we do now? Okay, how much money do you want? What do you want me to do? This is my book. What do you want me to do? He goes, listen, man, this isn't your fault. I'm going to package the book up. I'm going to ship it to you. When you receive the books, PayPal me the money. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, this wasn't your fault. I'll send you the book. It's yours. You don't have to pay me until you get the book.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And the next morning, he's at the post office. He's sending me pictures of the book being, on the scale thing. He's like going through the whole process. And I said, brother, look, man, I'm not going to wait for me to have the book. I'm sending you your $2,000 right now. And I sent him the money and the book showed up.
Oh, that was the most dramatic.
I'm telling you, you couldn't have written it differently. But now let's go to a happier portion of the story. So it showed up. It's beautiful. It's signed by Stan. It's signed by Todd. I mean, this is all happy.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer that question in a moment too.
I thought it was going to be this. That's why I put it on.
I've got really weird. No, this is a one of one. But this is how we determined that it was. So there were 4 yellow label 9.8s on the census.
Yeah.
2 of them, I knew the person that graded them and had them signed by Todd. I've seen them. I've seen pictures. I haven't seen them physically. He owns a comic book store on the East Coast. He graded them, kept one for himself, sold one to his friend. Both of those are yellow label 9.8s, only signed by Todd. Then, of course, there's this one. So that makes 3. This one we know is signed by Todd and signed by Stan Lee.
Yeah.
That 4th one, I've never seen it. I don't know who owns it. I didn't know anything about it. But what do I want to know as a collector? As a passionate collector, I want to know, do I have the only Wizard 9.8 signed by Stan? Yeah. Remember, there were no yellow label 9.8s of an SDCC at this time. There were only these 4 on the direct census.
Yeah.
And I've seen 3. I just need to figure out, is that 4th one signed by Stan? I call CGC. Oh. And I said, I got this really kind gentleman on the phone. I think his name was Justin. I always say, I think his name was Justin. It could have been Jason. Might have been either. I don't remember. Really nice guy. And I said, look, man, I don't need any of the information that I know you can't give me. I don't care about the cert numbers. I don't care about any of that stuff. If I had the cert number, I could look it up myself. I don't need the cert number. I'm not asking for that. You can look at the 4 books. There's only 4. And I'm telling you, I own one of them. So you don't have to look at that one. The other 2 I've seen. I know those cert numbers. You don't have to look at that one. There's only one book. I just need to know, is it signed by Stan Lee? And he goes, man, I can't tell you like the cert and all. I said, I know you can't tell me any of that. He heard how passionate I was, and he got it. He became invested, and he said, let's look.
No.
And he goes, man, you're going to be really happy. He said, that book is not signed by Stan Lee. You have the only 9.8 in existence signed by Stan Lee. And then he goes, course, I was so excited. And it's signed by Todd. It's crazy.
Yeah. But obviously after that no one else can submit a book signed by.
It's impossible. The only way to get the yellow label is for it to be verified. Is for it to be witnessed or a signature series event. And rest in peace. We know why that is not going to ever be possible. And then he goes, let's actually go down the list and let's see where's the next one signed by Stan. And if memory serves me, the most important thing for me to remember was that this is the only one, 9.8. But if memory serves me correctly, the next one was a 9.2. That was the next closest one signed by Stan, was a 9.2. So anyway, that is the story of how I came to acquire one of my favorite items in the entire world. Wizard magazine is very special, so on and so forth. One of one, how I acquired it, the drama that it took to buy it.
Yeah.
And then the fun story of finding out that it is actually the only one signed by Stan, and it just happens to be signed by both, and it's a full Todd.
Yeah.
So actually, and sorry, it actually cost me $2,030 is the amount of money that I PayPal'd them ultimately.
Oh, because did you have to pay the goods and services fee?
No, I think I sent him 30 because I asked him to overnight it or something.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's because I did good. I have no idea why the hell it's 2030. That's weird. I probably said, here's a little extra because you're overnighting it or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Do you know what? That's a really interesting thing that you do with your collectibles. You on the back you put a little sticker with how much you paid.
Yeah.
That is I've never really thought about that, actually. That's pretty clever.
I mean, I do. Not only do I do how much I've paid, if there's other things that are important to indicate, like, for instance, if I want to remember, this is a Malibu Sun 13. And if someone says, hey, do you have any raw Malibu Sun 13s? I oftentimes have multiple. Yeah. And if I want to sell it, I don't want to take this book out of here and regrade it over and over again. So I just look at my grader's notes on the back. Because when I first bring the book in, I make notes. This is a 9.8, point blank period. And then it has my notes of, just whatever I want to write about the book. It says edge topish. That's my word for around the top. Yeah. Topish could be flatter. So that means press it.
Yeah.
That's it. But, this is just a beautiful copy of this book. But again, I have what I paid for it on here. And I have my assessment of its grade. So I do not have to remove it from this bag and board to decide if this is something that someone's looking for.
That's clever, really clever.
And then one of them I've put in here backwards so that we can see the back of it.
Yeah, because the back is just as stunning as obviously the front.
And also, so we can easily compare it to an error copy.
Oh.
But fortunately, the book is so special. The book is so in demand and loved that even with my grading and selling into the market, the prices went up.
Yeah.
That's quite a special book, the Malibu Sun 13. The Error is an entirely different story altogether. The yellow labels are $25,000. One just recently sold for $25,000. The Error.
Yeah.
The blue label, hard to say what it would be, but all of these things, it's the Todd McFarlane glue.
It's like, yeah. Honestly, I can't think really for. Has anyone else been so? What's the word? Not inspirational, but I suppose probably inspirational, but he's like a generational talent, isn't he?
Yeah,
I always remember, I can't remember what issue it is, but I remember it was like a double page spread in a Todd McFarlane book, and it was Spidey swinging through New York City. And he put so much emphasis and detail just into the webbing, like the excess webbing. It went, you could literally follow it for, you could follow it for days.
Yeah.
Actually. And I was just like, as soon as I saw that when I was a kid, I was just like, wow. But yeah.
I don't think anyone compares.
No.
You know, because you said it beautifully, you know, there are artists that had an impact on me. You know, Bagley is one of my favorite
Bagley
artists.
as well, yeah. But nothing like in the same breath as McFarlane for me.
Well, you know, you have someone that makes art that inspires, but Todd McFarlane makes art that inspires, and he's a personality that inspires.
Larger than life.
Larger than life. And so I mean, I can speak for us Todd fans. We love everything about Todd. Yep. We like Todd.
Yeah.
You know, we are happy when he's successful. We forgive him when he tells us for 10 years that a Spawn movie is going to come. And hopefully it does.
Yeah. This Jamie Foxx one that's never going to happen by the looks of it.
Yeah, right. And I don't know another artist from the era that we're talking about that has found his way into the minds and hearts of us for so many decades, and we still love and respect him and appreciate him.
Well, I mean, if you think about that, I want to say like Marvel bullpen, maybe at that time, and the comic book artists, you got like Jim Lee.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to speak ill of people, or, you know, I'm not having to go at Rob Liefeld, but I don't think he is a great artist for me. His art doesn't. I think all of his face is all at the same. Like
sure.
Like whatever character he's drawing, their face is the same for me.
Yeah.
And obviously the feet thing, but yeah, he never really. I never really took to his art. But Jim Lee's great, absolutely great. He's a fantastic artist.
Jim Lee's amazing, one of my favorites. He's at the top. I guess what's being illustrated here, I never said it and I never thought about it until we're having this conversation, is that Todd's really the one that is the entrepreneur that we really love, right? Because we think about it, hold on, it's so easy. How did we forget? Todd's the one that, I mean, yes, these people we're mentioning are the founding partners of Image as well, but quite frankly, none of that happens without Todd. Todd is the driving force of starting.
He's like a free spirit who's just like, when you ever see him talk, I mean, you know, especially Dave's interview.
Yeah.
Like even to this day, he's still passionate about all the things that we love.
Yeah. I love it.
Even like his toys, like when I was a kid growing up, and it would be like, McFarlane toys. You're like, what? Todd McFarlane's doing his own, like, he's got his own toy range as well. It's just like, what is this guy? He's into everything.
Yeah. No, he definitely is, man. Todd's really cool. There's no one like Todd. Yeah. And I do hope we get a movie soon, because it'd just be really fun, man. It'd be really exciting to see how excited the entire community would be when a movie finally comes out. And, you know, books are going to be flying all over the place. It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great time.
100%.
And Amazing Spider-Man 316, one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
You know, favorite covers, books, and everything. And when we talked about the short box that I took out of Mom and Dad's house from a few years ago, there it is. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, with the full Todd.
The full Todd.
Very nice. That is gorgeous.